Yeah.
I mean, was Dutchie objectively a good dog?
No.
Okay.
She was a well-behaved dog. She was just like a very unfriendly dog. Like she wasn't interested in
She
being
was
a
Dad's
dog.
best friend and almost no one else's.
I mean,
Here we are at another edition of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, where
She can't even contain herself.
who can't?
I can't. I'm sorry.
Is Ilana losing her mind?
She's losing her mind.
Okay,
I
well,
never see this happen live.
I'll see how long.
birthday.
Usually I'm laughing alone in my car.
and he was eating an apple before. So
Oh yeah. So the voice, I primed it. I primed it big time for this special guest. So I'm joined by Becky and Lily as usual, and we do have a special guest. The special guest is none other than old dear friend, not old in age, but old as in time, Ilana Austin, who, in addition to being a really good friend of all of us, is also an avid listener. And we love when people are listening and play along with us, and we look for opportunities to bring them on. And Ilana, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
And I'm going to load a picture into the Skype chat just to give you some context on how we know each other for you to react to. So these pictures will pop up momentarily. I don't know if you see them.
Well, that you promise they'll be on social media though after?
Well, we're gonna need Alana's permission. Do you see the pictures?
I give permission. I'm good.
Once she heard it's like the opposite of an NDR. She signed on. Oh my God.
Wait, I don't
Shai,
see anything.
it is you who needs to worry about the picture, not Ilana. Ilana, you're fine.
did you guys?
Shai.
Don't I look the same?
Yes.
They look.
You know who doesn't look the same? Me.
Shai.
Wait,
So
why can't I see the pictures?
I have a really important question. Since we are going to be talking about the new 9.0, are there like parallels that you guys recall from your high school days to the original show 90210? Do you feel like that really represented you in high school? Your
no,
friends?
not me. There's nothing similar
Montreal?
between me, other than the fact that David Silver was Jewish. Like, that's about it. That's all I got.
So in this picture, are we seeing Kelly and just like
Brandon?
We're seeing Kelly and like a Make-A-Wish kid at. So what I shared in the group was a picture. Ilana was for Americans it's called prom, for Canadians it's called grad. We were each other's dates as friends.
Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
To prom. So you see the pictures? Did they come through?
No, I don't see the pictures.
All right. Well, everyone can see them but you.
Can you see the screen of the three of us?
Yeah.
Right? If you run your mouse over it, there'll be like a little open conversation box on the bottom. 2 over from the heart emoji. It looks like a little blurb with some lines on it. If you click on it, the conversation will pop up. And that's where the chat is with the pictures. Just wait till social media next week.
Okay,
Yeah,
or
sounds
they're I sent them to you in Gmail just now. When you get a chance,
Okay.
look at them. But those little
You're dealing with somebody who's very tech unsavvy. I didn't know that you could like write in on the Google Doc. We're scrambling around trying to find a computer that has Skype on it. This is a whole new level.
I'm pretty sure Skype is only used for
Ineptitude.
our podcast at this point. So yes, Becky is right though, because that era, 1997, when we went to our prom, was, I would say peak or post-peak 90210 years. And we're going to start today, after I tell my little intro story, we're going to start today with talking about the 90210. I don't know if it's a reboot is the exact word, as much as revisit. I don't know. Shared universe, maybe? Shared universe? Mockumentary?
not a mockumentary.
But before that, I'd like to talk about Instagram and Instagram ads. In general, I find that Instagram ads are like freakishly well targeted to me. Like T-shirts of obscure, weird Al Yankovic. Hold on.
Extremely well targeted.
I usually get T-shirts for obscure, weird Al Yankovic T-shirts, or little tiny video game systems that can fit in your pocket and have all of the Nintendo games.
No.
Yet yesterday,
ads for like organic cotton sheets and things like that. I buy so much stuff off of Instagram.
oh yeah, it's crazy. But the other day, and I shared this with you all, I got an ad for something called the Smart Hanging Bra. Now, I know I am
What were you Googling?
I know I'm not as skinny. No, I think it's like because I obsessively use my Fitness Pal, and I'm not as skinny as I was in these pictures. I for a second thought it was like, are they trying to tell me that I've got man boobs and I need to wear this? So this bra, as far as I can describe this crazy thing that I got a commercial for, which I
bra is a stretch. I know you're
That's
not
a big
woman.
stretch.
It's like a towel meets like a bullwhip, and you wrap it around your neck.
Towel.
What?
Like,
Looks
I don't
It's not a boob towel.
towel.
A normal towel can dry your boobs. You don't
It's
need
not
a special towel.
No, I don't mean a towel. I
It's like
mean
a boob hanger.
It's like
Hammock.
a sling.
It's like a
sling.
boob hammock.
I feel like it's like if you were doing housework and it was really hot that day, and you were like, "Oh, it's too hot to wear clothes, but I don't want to sweat everywhere. I'll wear my boob sweat catcher."
Or like if you're tired of wearing a bra, but you don't want to not be in a bra, I guess. But I texted Shai immediately back. I was like, A, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me that you got sent this ad. B, what are you Googling? C, if I bought that, I'd break my neck. I'd break like.
Agreed. And they picture
my
only
neck
women with really large boobs in it, and that just
There's
doesn't
no
work.
way that's comfortable.
And they look so happy. They're like gardening. They're like gardening and doing their taxes and stuff.
But they're not wearing other clothes. They're only wearing this.
Well, no, they're just showing. I think they're wearing towels. I think the implication is that you like come out of the shower and you. I don't know. And what am I Googling? I don't know. Like I said, I follow.
This women who work from home? Like, when are you wearing it? I'm just trying to figure it out.
Are you blow drying your hair, but haven't gotten dressed yet, but don't want your boobs hanging free?
Ready to put on a convention.
You're not ready to put on a bra.
Anyways, I'm interested if anyone's listening. First of all, if you're a guy and you got an ad for
No,
this.
you need to buy it now.
I'm not going to buy it. The Smart Hanging Bra. Let me know. Or just find this item and let us know if you know what to do with it. Okay. With that, we will move along to a big moment that I wasn't even tracking.
I was going to say low-hanging bra sales are going to skyrocket after this episode.
Huge. They're going to be our first sponsor. The boob hammock.
Is that what it's called?
No, but
That's what it should be called.
no, maybe that's what their competitors call, and they're like, "Oh, let's."
I'm going to Google that right now. Ugh.
So, there was a show that premiered last night, the 90210 reboot, or like we said, shared universe, called BH 90210. So, not exactly called Beverly Hills 90210, and not called regular 90210. Like I think this CW show was called just 90210. This show is
this is it. They've run out of combinations with the words Beverly Hills and the numbers 90210. This is their last chance.
they're not going to do like Westmount H3Y1J8 next in Montreal.
It doesn't have quite as nice a ring to it.
Yeah. So I'll tee up the show and just say this is a dramedy comedy where the 90210 characters play exaggerated versions of themselves, or frankly untrue versions of themselves, and they are dealing 25 years later after the show with whatever's happened in their careers, and going to try to reboot the show. So it's almost like what they did in Seinfeld, where Seinfeld has a show about a show, or Larry David, what's that show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, where they bring back Seinfeld for an extra...
Yeah, it's like a Curb kind of thing where they're all playing these fictionalized versions of their real selves.
And let's just go with reactions. I loved this show instantly. I was 100% all on board. Allie and our dear friend Katie, who is going to return for the season finale of 90210, is going to join the podcast for the season finale of 90210. They are hardcore 90210 fans, and they were emotionally confused for most of the episode. I was not. This is exactly what I wanted.
It was pretty straightforward.
I don't get it.
I was not confused whatsoever.
But a lot of the internet was confused too.
I don't know why. I mean, I feel like I've maybe followed these people's lives since the show, probably too much, if I feel like I'm just picking up right where I left off, because feel like it was pretty self-explanatory. I don't know what was confusing about it.
Also, I'll add is that a lot of shows have done this gimmick before. You have episodes, but more importantly, I've seen it with this character because Tori Spelling had a show for which I am the only fan.
And
you watched her reality show?
No, before her reality show.
Reality shows. So
I've watched some of her reality shows. Some is like you could just say you watched them all. So but we're not even talking about that.
Before her reality show, she had an incredibly smart, in my view, ahead of its time scripted show called So Notorious, where she played an exaggerated version of herself with a coterie of best friends in L.A., and Lonnie Anderson played her evil mother, and her real life mother, I think, or his stepmother or real mother, was like furious with the way she was portrayed because she's portrayed as like evil. And then the father, Aaron Spelling, only appeared in the show as the voice from Charlie's Angels in her house. So like he would talk to her, but you wouldn't see him, and he would always be the voice. And it was only on for 13 episodes, and Zachary Quinto, who would go on to play Spock and be an American Horror Story, he was in it. And it was
as your best friend. He was great.
I thought it was hilarious. And in some ways, when I saw that this show was created and partially written, at least the pilot, by Tori Spelling and Jenny Garth, I was like, this is amazing. Tori Spelling's done this before, and she did it really well. And now she's got all these other people playing along. So I was immediately on board, and I thought it was hilarious and well done.
I thought what's really great is that not Tori, not Jenny Garth, or Kelly and whatever Tori's spelling.
Donna Martin.
Donna, thank you, Donna.
Anytime.
Martin, obviously, yeah, sorry. Brain blank there. Neither one of them are funny on 90210. They're not like the comedic bits.
Well, they tried to make Donna Martin funny. It fell flat. Like, she just wasn't funny, but Jenny Garth was hilarious in this.
But Kelly is not a funny character on the show. It's like drama. And to me, the two of them are amazing together. And they were so funny in this show. They were definitely the comedic relief.
They have great rapport, and I actually found it surprising because I think going into watching this, I would expect myself to find Tori Spelling's character probably the most annoying and probably like the worst actor, but she was great. And you could tell she must have a great sense of humor about herself and her life, and she plays it well. She actually is acting it quite well, better than she ever did as Donna Martin.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like she is definitely most improved because she's like Donna's unbearable to watch pretty much, whereas now she's actually an actress.
And totally funny. Exactly. I totally enjoyed it. Now, Ilana, what did you think of the opening when they start you in the Peach Pit and it looks like it's a 90210 episode? What did you think was happening?
I will admit I was a little confused by that, but I also loved it. I'm a big nostalgia person, and 90210 holds a very, very special place in my heart.
Can you tell us your viewing conference party that I saw on Instagram?
Yes, that was a conference call that was scheduled at least a month ago.
Love it. Love it.
4 of my closest friends from high school, and we regularly watched 90210 together. In fact, this is a fairly embarrassing story, but when 902 ended, we had a party to watch the finale, and we had to everyone came dressed up as a character. And I was none other than Donna Martin in the iconic Donna Martin graduate scene. I had my little graduation cap and the boobs all pushed up and big.
Amazing.
It was amazing. A VCR tape exists somewhere with my performance. I performed the scene where Donna Martin gets I think she gets kicked out of. Where she's at a PTA meeting and they want to put condom dispensers in the bathrooms.
Oh my God, I totally remember that. That's a super famous scene.
And she gives this whole speech about if you have a pool, you can teach your children to swim, but you have to put a fence around it. Anyways, I performed that scene, and it's on video somewhere. Hopefully, never to be found, but. Anyways, as I said, this was a very important show to me growing up. Probably, I mean, definitely in my top 3 favorite shows of all time.
And it was, so we all grew up in Montreal, and the show already was in the States before it came to us. It was a big deal when it was no longer just on, on the cable boxes of the rich kids who had the, the stolen cable box. Then everyone got it on television, and it was like everybody stopped what they were doing to watch, and they were watching with their whole families. It was a zeitgeist moment. Becky and Lily, when this show came on, you were pretty young. Did you watch it from the beginning?
Every single week.
Absolutely, we watched.
And we had to stop watching it with Mom because she was like always so, like, how Mom is like super cool and like with it and everything. But Mom is like in some like Latin, I don't know, like old school way.
Weird way.
She can be very conservative. And so it would be like every week she'd be like, oh, no. Look at that one again. Oh, no.
So
don't you.
This is really funny because when
do not do what that girl, do not. And we'd be like, Mom, it's just a show. Stop.
So this is really funny is that Ilana and I were talking yesterday as we were getting ready for the episode. And Ilana was talking about watching with her mother. I remember watching with Mom, but I don't remember watching with you guys. I remember watching with Mom. And my memories of Mom is Mom being like totally cool and like totally into all the salaciousness of it.
But again, part of her weird Latina thing is that because you're a boy and you're the old
standard, Shai. We were probably right next to you. You don't remember us till probably around our late teens, early 20s. But we were right next to you, sitting there. And Mom was probably in the middle of us saying one thing to you and then turning around and saying the opposite to us. You just don't remember.
I think my mom initially watched it with me to make sure that like the content was okay because it was like very scandalous when it first premiered.
Scandalous. Yeah.
They pushed the envelope back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
They really did.
Condoms in the bathrooms.
And Riverdale being on when we were kids.
Oh, my God.
For God's sake.
Well, I think Andrea alluded to that in last night's show, right?
Did she?
She was, when the girl at the bar was like, come on, did Andrea ever think?
Oh, right, and she says in the 90s.
She's like the pantsuits, and Andrea was like, are you kidding? This was a show in the 90s. There was no way that they were going to tackle that. But it would have been interesting if it was made now, they certainly would have gone there.
All right, let's go through where we find them, what they look like, how they behaved. Let's start with Steve Sanders. How'd you guys feel? Anyone have any strong observations?
Amazing.
He was amazing.
I hated Steve Sanders in the past, but he looks unbelievable. I thought he aged the best of everyone.
And he's been in the public eye. He's done all those.
That's Ian Ziering.
Ian Ziering has
Sharknadoes.
All those Sharknadoes.
I have to say, like, I don't like to. I mean, I don't think it's fair to like talk about people's like physical aspects, but. Because, I mean, these are human beings who exist in the real world. And I think they all look great. It's like freakish how good he looks. Like if he would have preserved. It looks like he was preserved, exactly. Yeah. He looks fantastic. And so does Jenny Garth.
But Jenny Garth has had a crap ton of plastic surgery.
But I have to say, her surgery, good on her esthetician, or her plastic surgeon. She looks fantastic.
I have a theory about Steve Sanders, Ian, whatever his name is. Do you think it's not that he looks so good now? It's just that as a teenager, he looked really old.
He looked old and like.
He just looked like really old.
And remember his shirts?
And he was not the most attractive.
Well, maybe he just sort of met in the middle.
He grew into himself.
He grew into himself, for sure.
That's fair.
So did Brian Austin Green, because I think objectively he looks pretty good now.
No, I disagree. I thought he looked way better back then. His body's still pretty good, but like clearly I have no issue objectifying these people and their looks.
Go right ahead.
I don't know, his face, he looks like a little gaunt, a little, I don't know. I wasn't so impressed with how he kept his face.
So speaking of faces, are Becky and Lily, are you at all weirded out that they cast Mom as Andrea Zuckerman? Because when Mom gets her hair cut short.
Mom's look.
Right?
Mom has been on so many TV shows over the course of our life. I don't find it weird anymore. When I turn on, I'm like, yeah, there's Mom, circa 1992. There's Mom, like from her last summer's haircut. You know, like.
Ilana, do you know that one of the great lores of our family is that when we used to watch Today's Special, we were absolutely convinced the Lady Jody was my mom.
No, I didn't know
100%.
My mom had a lot of pink jumpsuits and a perm, so.
It was the 80s.
Yeah, we assumed that was her, and she's very tanned.
So yeah, Andrea Zuckerman, they nailed the Jewish mom psychotherapist look.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. We talked about Donna Martin. How about I really enjoyed Jason Priestley's performance. I'm going to tell you who he reminds me of.
He looks like he's aged.
He reminds me of Mark Hamill a little bit.
Correct age that he should be.
Why do you got to bring everything back to Mark Hamill?
There's a few things come back to, and Mark Hamill is one of them.
He reminds me of Mark Hamill because of they both got in car accidents, but also because I think he's an all-around talented guy who's under the radar. And now Mark Hamill's not so under the radar. I think, he's more... But to me, I'm looking for a Jason Priestley major comeback from this particular event.
A Priestley...
I have to say, though, that overall, the first episode made me sad. Because I feel like all of them... are so, like, I think it's Brian Austin Green says, yeah, like, it doesn't matter if I want to be back in the spotlight, like, people don't want to see me. And I feel like that's something that they all suffer from.
Well, I was going to say that I think that what I liked about the show so much is that they, in a very subtle way, they went real, like real shit a few times. And I think that was very cool. They didn't just keep it superficial. He says that, and you're like, ooh, that's definitely something they've all thought. And then when they make fun or they make reference to the divorces, the money problems, like those are real references to. Like, I mean, they make references to Jason Priestley.
And then when the guy Kelly, the pig farmer, calls her Kelly instead of Jenny.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm sure that's happened to her many times.
The best real-life reference of all, though, was when they called Jason Priestley Canada Girl and talked about how if it wasn't for the show, he'd be tapping maple syrup.
Canadian, which is hilarious. And their reputations, that like how his reputation annoyed the shit out of Kelly or Jenny Garth or whatever. Is
that true though? I read that they were actually friendly and that they had a good relationship in real life.
I'm sure they were, but but it's even alluding to the fact of like what he probably had to deal with or what they had to deal with of the double standard. Even if they were friends, there was absolutely a double standard. Sure. And the fact that in real life, Shannon Doherty has been vilified on every show, like as the actress that she's been on, and then they make reference to it like it's 100% real. I love that.
So how about that? First of all, is Shannon Doherty, I know she's in the credits, but is she committed to being in the show?
Oh, yeah. If you see scenes from the next episode, you'll see she's coming back. Full force.
I always loved her. I think she's amazingly talented, and I love that they kept her as this looming specter above the rest of the crew.
I'm sorry.
Or one of you at the airport?
I don't know. My kids just came home. I don't know what they're doing.
So that was Shannon Doherty. Shannon Doherty was calling via Instagram Live, like in the show. Hello.
My favorite line is when they make reference to her possibly coming back, and Jenny Garth's like, "Oh, this weekend was hard enough, and Shannon wasn't even here."
That was amazing.
That's amazing. Obviously, they're all good friends. And
on many occasions, they bring up the fact, like, don't worry, like when she and Tori first land, and she's like, "It's fine. Shannon's not gonna be there. It can't be that bad."
Like, I can't wait till she comes back and see how they clash.
So,
or maybe she's like a super nice person who's well adjusted.
But I'd love to find out why they all because they're obviously.
I mean, she's so famous for being but even on Charmed and stuff, she ended that show really bad.
And not to harp on the looks thing, but she kind of looks a little bit.
She did have breast cancer.
She did survive horrific cancer.
Yeah.
Okay, way to make me feel like an asshole.
No, but she does look like she got a lot of work done though. Cancer or no cancer.
All these people only have the nicest things to say about you.
Okay, let's end on a somber note. What do you all make of...
Oh, you're going to make me cry.
I literally tears in my eyes.
I really did.
Because I was like, it's not just me. When they mentioned him the first time, I got teary-eyed. And then they mentioned him again at the panel, tears. And then when they showed that picture of him at the end, just
definitely.
That was at the end. I really teared up. I mean, it's just so sad, right? Like the timing was just so terrible, and
he wasn't going to be part of it. He wasn't going to be part of it. He never signed on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But but I think it's always like holding out hope that maybe he could have, and it's not like, oh, he didn't sign on, he should be dead. I mean, like,
Really, no one made that conclusion.
No, but I'm just saying, like, he
Lily's
wasn't going to
like,
be on the
Tori
show, but
Spelling
I'm sure
went
they
after
were they would have made a different kind of reference to him, you know, like the fact that they have to reference like he's not here because he's gone is really sad.
They would have hoped. I think they would have hoped he would have signed on. So
Exactly.
So I'm going to go controversial, and I'll say, of all of the people in the show, to me, he's the only one that would have been super out of place because I am such a big Riverdale fan, and even if that show isn't the most famous in the world, it's a pretty big phenomenon.
Well, it's like what Bex was saying. He has a career, or he had a career.
He was great on it. Like, he was, like, no one could ever argue with the fact that Luke Perry was one of the strongest parts of that show, and his acting was great, and his playing this sort of older, good guy kind of character, which is a lot different than Dylan McKay.
I would say he's the only one that's had a fairly successful career outside of 90210. The rest of them kind of.
You think so? I mean, Shannon Doherty fronted Charmed.
That's Jenny Garth did, but.
No, I feel like Luke Perry has made maybe the most movies, and you could say like
what movies? The Fifth Element,
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Those were all in like 1995.
But that was before 90, or like during.
That was like during the 90210 craze.
Post 90 years.
No, I think he was enjoying a really big comeback, but enough of one that it would have been odd to have him on this show where they're all kind of in the same zone.
Well, it's like Full House. Not like having Mary-Kate and Ashley on there would have been like a bit ridiculous.
I would have taken one of them appearing. It seemed a lot.
They're multi-billionaires. They don't need that show.
It's interesting that you bring that up. I watched the pilot of Full House, and Full House was another one of those like super nostalgic shows for me. I watched it every week, like with my extended family, with my cousins. We loved it.
Us too.
I found the reboot unwatchable. Like, it made me cringe. I was like, I can't. I watched the first episode and then never revisited. But this 90210 thing, it was a thing of beauty. Having them all back together, and I just thought it was
the key was
so
that their personas are so, like, nobody really cares, like, Candace Cameron Burr, like, she's DJ. She can be no one else. Sorry.
What? No, she's on all those Hallmark, like, religious movies that we don't
whatever.
watch.
But to us, there'll always be those people. Whereas I feel like Nino is so big that these characters, we know their actor names and they're melded as one, but we're even more happy to see the behind the scenes of what these people playing, these people that we loved, who are like our age or a bit older than us, but our generation now, what they're like, and the like. It's like a secret behind the scenes that obviously is fake, which I'm clearly treating as a documentary of their lives. I'm fine with. I feel like Brian Austin Green's story is like what would have happened had he stayed with Megan Fox and she became famous.
Oh, he's not with Megan Fox anymore?
No, sadly.
Oh,
no.
I missed that. Okay. Well, speaking of documentaries, we're going to segue now to talk about one of the groundbreaking Netflix documentaries of the last few years.
Documentaries.
At least as far as Lily's concerned.
Bastardizing the word documentary.
Okay, wait. Before we start, who am I?
Oh, that is some serious.
You just tied up your hair.
I'm getting into character.
Like Raquel. So we are about to talk about La Casa de Papel, also known as Money Heist, season 3.
Did they change it to La Casa de Oro now?
Well, that's my first question. The name of the show translates to House of Paper. And they're not even robbing a house of paper. The only paper
I just think it's a reference to a bank.
Is it? Is that what they call?
Is that what you call it?
Is that what they call banks?
It's not. I mean, no, it's not what they call banks. But I just think it's a reference to banks.
Like, what would be a reference to a bank here? That's not the word
paper
bank.
House. A money house? Well, anyways, a money heist, because they're stealing things that are worth money. So we are back in the world of España with our favorite.
I feel like it's like you guys visit me when you watch that show.
Well, that is what you're... The opening of the show, which starts with Rio and Tokyo just making love constantly and catching fish is like basically what it sounds like your life is out there. Just like nude people...
Spaniards know how to have a good time.
Lots of vacation.
I'm coming to visit you, Lily.
Speaking of things that are iconic of Spaniards, there's something that I really want to bring up as a first thought, which is Tokyo's mullet. It's a very...
I knew Becky would get like that Like, that hairdo is
so
for real.
That is so iconically Spanish.
And from the north of Spain, like, specifically.
The female mullet. They love
the northern part of Spain. That's a typical haircut.
All right, well, let's take her and send her back to the northern part of Spain where she belongs.
She's definitely the worst character on the show.
Well, but I think they know that. So Tokyo returns with a mullet and a bikini, and poor little Rio is obsessed with her. And this is a funny part because if anyone has ever had a long-distance relationship, when she decides to ditch him and he essentially endangers not just himself, but every single person just so he can, like, have a... Like, it reminds me of meeting at an internet cafe or being on an internet cafe and sending emails to someone when you were having a long-distance relationship so she can have a satellite phone which is instantly traced. And he ends up being tortured. So, the robbers decide the only way they can save themselves, and they don't seem to be much in danger.
Not themselves, to save him.
To save him, which is a question I want to unpack, is to not just rob a bank, but do the biggest bank robbery in the history of Spain and breach the Federal Reserve.
Okay, but this is why I'm loving this season. I actually only have 2 episodes left because it is staying true to the world they have created. This is a world in which they accomplish things only by robbing bank or bank-type buildings. That is how all goals are achieved. So if they tried to save Rio by trying to go and physically save him, that would make no sense. They don't have the skill set for that.
Wait, okay.
That's fine, but why not let Rio languish in prison? Because Tokyo asks them to?
Yeah, because
I think there's a few things happening. I think
they want more money.
They have the bug, you know what I mean? And like 2 years or 2.5 years laid up on island because they can't really do anything, right?
Well,
they're still in hiding.
What?
Denver
definitely doesn't want to do it.
He definitely doesn't want to do it.
He doesn't want to do it. But in general, the gang is sort of like, okay, we did it the first time. Why wouldn't we be able to do it again? And it's the like challenge, the excitement, getting back to, the old days or whatever, and not being sitting on an island doing nothing because they can't really do anything in their new lives. It's like they can go hang out and start a real life.
See, I have some reservations about that though because I get it, but the professor. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call and I don't. Okay. The professor, I feel like it's out of character for him to be like, okay, we're going to go do this heist without the proper preparation, without the time. I feel like it's uncharacteristic of him to rush into it.
I mean,
they seem to have done some preparation because there's 3 different flashbacks going on in this show at any given time. There's ones from before the first Money Heist, and then they're the ones preparing for the House of Gold heist with Palermo playing in the spot for Berlin.
So when the professor gets the idea, he's already nearly worked it all out or gone through the entire thing with Palermo and Berlin. But just for some reason, he decides to end. We don't know why he ends up doing the bank one instead.
Oh, I'm sure they'll reveal it.
No, they say so far what they said is that the reason he did the Royal Mint instead of the Reserve for the gold originally is because he created the plan for the Royal Mint and he trusts his own plan better. He doesn't trust anyone else. So because Berlin created the Reserve plan, he inherently just will not trust the plan because someone else created it. And
Berlin's more of a risk taker.
He's a bigger risk taker. He's
bigger
more of a
dreamer.
boy.
Okay, yeah. I'm following that. I'm buying that. Okay.
Which I buy.
So we're going to do, this part is no spoilers, but then we're going to go into spoilers.
And also technically, I don't know what episode Becky's on. Becky, what was the last thing you saw?
Episode 6, which is when it ends with Rio being brought up to the steps of the Reserve and he's waving to everyone and we think he's going to be let in. And so that's where it ended for me.
So technically, if he gets let in, their mission of getting him back is accomplished.
It's accomplished, and now they just need to escape with...
Technically, robbing the Federal Reserve got Rio back. They just have to get out.
It's leverage, yeah.
Yes, and that's the part That's the part that's coming next.
Okay, so we'll talk about everything except for the...
So, first question, Becky, have you gotten to the part where the professor school... No, you haven't gotten to the part where the professor schools Raquel.
The most he's done so far is called her the weakest link.
Right, so just later in the show, he like rubs in her face
he throws it in her face.
That he like had her...
Although it's not really fair because she
beat her.
did...
Weakest
But
link.
she did catch him.
Oh, she's the worst
She just let him
cop.
go.
Weakest link. She's the weakest link. She is. We all know it.
Right, but she's not a bad cop. Like, I think it's wrong to say, oh, why is he having her help him?
She let him go.
She just let him go. So he, like, got her there. But other than that, she figured out who he was.
So if she had caught him, she would be a hero, she would be undisgraced, and none of this would be happening.
Yes and no. Her ex-husband was literally trying to destroy her life.
And she was miserable.
Yeah, where's he at?
And she fell in love with him.
Right.
Well, fair enough.
And she was miserable. Like, her whole entire life up to that point was basically, like, awful.
Lily, how many romances in Spain start with bank robbery, on average, you think? Because in this show, it's
10,
like 3 out of 5.
I would say, like, 4 out of 10. It's probably more
I have
realistic.
to tell you, every time Denver and Monica...
And it's a solid 7 out of 10 that, like, some
together...
Oh.
I just like get so emotional and start to cry because I love them so much.
Okay.
Monica and Denver.
Monica and Denver. Ugh.
So before we pass into the zone of spoilers, let's hear everybody's MVPs of the season. Lily, your MVP.
Obviously Denver.
He is the most interesting.
Obviously, it's 100% Denver.
He's the only one so far that has got himself into this and been like, what was I doing? Why did I do this?
No, but he's also, like, gotten his shit together. He hasn't been, like, boo-hoo-hooing the entire time of, like, what was I doing?
No, he's brave.
Plus, his whole, I don't know if I'm just not going to ruin anything, Becky. I don't know if you've seen that part. His whole trying to help that nerdy guy get that girl.
That's great.
I'm sorry.
Well,
he's literally the best.
That was pretty cool.
Well, also,
that is adorable.
He's like, look, I know how to pick up women when they're being held hostage.
In the bank.
He's like, take this gun, shoot her in the leg. I'm happily married
I have
now.
to say, my MVP is Nairobi.
Oh,
she's so joyful. She brings so much joy to everything she does.
She's actually my favorite character on the show.
Whether it's printing money or making gold pellets,
I love how she stands up. I love how she stands up for herself.
Well, that's a great consistent thread throughout this season. It's very like #MeToo. You know, they keep like bringing. That's come up a few times where it's
they're making up for Denver and Stockholm, Denver and Monica falling in love while she was his hostage. Now, what is Nairobi's skill set? Is she just like a project manager? Is that what she's really good at? She's like
she's the one that people on her side, and she makes them productive.
She's the one that figures out how to actually like I think before she was like the counterfeiter, so she's the one that's going to figure out how to get the money or the gold out. Or
I like Ilana's.
I think she's like a production, like a production
she's in
manager.
charge of production.
She's supposed to be the actual money, like she's the counterfeiter.
Really?
I think she's
I'm
both.
with this. She's like the
she
human
was just the
motivation
one working
person.
with the actual person who worked at La Moneda to do the counterfeiting, like the money printer, because they didn't counterfeit.
Yeah, there was that old man who was
real
the money printer.
Yeah.
We have to go back to that season.
Either way, I think that's right. I think because she is very charismatic.
I mean, he loved her. He wanted to leave with her. The money printer, remember, he was like, I've never worked for such an amazing boss. You were the best. I hated my job until you came along.
And I think you're right. I think that is really Nairobi. She emerges as such a strong leader in that group, and that's probably why the professor has her in the... Because if the production part ever falls behind or breaks down... Right, she's the one who's in charge of essentially getting into the vault, right? Like, there's other people who are specialists, but she is... Okay, so project manager, something you need if you're robbing a bank. I'm with
There you go.
All right, who is the LVP of this season?
Tokyo, duh.
It's like Rio/Tokyo always. It's probably Rio because he's such a dummy.
I mean, Helsinki did buy a satellite phone, he just didn't use it.
Okay,
so it's both of their faults.
Rio is so thirsty, I can't deal with it.
It's Rio and Tokyo.
My money's on Tokyo. She fucks everything up.
You can't say very much because Becky's not there yet.
Like, Tokyo, make up your mind. Do you love him or does he annoy you? Do you love him or does he annoy you? Just decide already.
She's just mean. She's like a
Everyone's
mean person, you know, and she's unreliable and she's a hothead. And I can't even believe that you would put her in a robbery. Like, she fucks everything up.
But the professor really trusts her too, remember?
Why?
She was like the person who he trusted in the previous season.
Yeah, he told her his name.
She is loyal.
Very
Although
loyal.
she's stupid and makes dumb decisions, she is loyal to the overall plan and doesn't divert from what the professor says. So when like Palermo is trying to like take things into his own head, she's like, fucking no. Like, this is what he said to do, we do what he said. Like, so I guess like she is loyal in that sense. But she's very pretty. I guess that's it. I like the way she says Jarana. I just like that.
What does that even mean?
But she's I'm just thinking of other Spanish words to explain it, but that won't help.
It might.
Is it a curse word? Is it an insult?
No, it's not. I'm gonna look it up. Actually, it's not. It's like, like madness or whatever, or something like that. I'm gonna look it up.
All right, I have a question. How do you guys feel about Raquel 2.0 Alicia?
I think she is too old to have a nose ring.
Oh, no, here's what I was going to say.
That's what I
very
think.
Spanish.
When I was pregnant with Miri, people have like often asked me like, oh, like, did you feel like that slowed you down at work and it was harder? And I was like, no, it actually really made me feel like a boss. Like, I loved going in the room with my giant belly and being like, all right, everyone listen to me. I'm in charge.
Wait, we're not talking about, that's not Raquel.
No, I'm saying that. So what I like about Alicia is that she's like super pregnant and she's like, I'm an evil boss lady, sociopath, and I'm hugely pregnant too.
She's
I
fucking
kind of like that.
Yeah, I love it.
I like
She's a
love
total
that she's
sociopath.
doing that while pregnant. I feel like it like ups the ante of her intensity. So I think that's a cool little character twist they give her.
I like the balance between Raquel 2.0 and Alicia. I like the fact that Raquel couldn't cut it and was a pretty emotional person in the end, right? Like, to your point, even when she solved it, she decided to do something that was more emotional. Alicia is happy to see, like, these people not only die, but suffer.
I find it a bit much that it's like, or you can be a passionate, like in the end, go with your heart woman who fucks up an investigation, or you're a sociopath who gets the job done.
Obviously,
they're like, make her pregnant, but she's 47 in real life. She's a very established, famous Spanish actress. She's fantastic.
Who, Alicia?
Yeah. And so there's like a bit of a disconnect from like seeing her in this role and then her pregnancy, but she's fabulous. So she's great.
Is she really pregnant?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Plus, maybe they have her playing younger, which is very cool.
Yeah, no, it is. I just if you know her from Spanish movies, it's not like it's odd that she'd be playing younger because you know how old she's been in the other movies she's been in.
Good thing I'm not Spanish.
Yeah, but I do love the juxtaposition, having had Raquel type character who seems like in general kind of a mess, and then Alicia who's like.
Okay, let's get to most improved
right.
player.
Becky,
I'm very
who's
excited.
your most improved?
Okay, so I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball because I feel like I know what a couple of other people are going to say, and it's a great answer.
Are you going to say Arturo?
I knew you were going to say Arturo.
Oh, my favorite. That's actually great. No, mine is, get ready for it, Berlin.
Mine too.
Oh, get out, you guys.
I hated Berlin so much in the first season, and by the second season, you get to know him, and it's so exciting to see him now in the third season in all these flashbacks, behaving in the way that you hate Berlin, but understanding his depth of character and so appreciating it so much more.
So I think, Shai, you and I were talking, and I had said, I'm really impressed with the show. Like, overall, loving the third season, loved it. I'm very impressed with a show that had major characters die that people kind of hated, and one of them was like, yeah, fine, you can sacrifice yourself. They bring him back in the third season, and he's one of the better characters. Yeah. You're like, that's really good writing.
So and I'll pat myself on the back, I figured out, I don't know when, but very, very early that
that they were brothers.
That they were brothers.
I did.
Yeah, I called Lily up and I'm like, those two are brothers when they sang that song, and I'm like, why else would they know each other so well? And I think that that's exactly right. Is Berlin is a character, when you have his backstory and his depth, he's familiar, he's cool, he's interesting, there's more to him. We saw him when he was at the end of his life, desperate, dying, all of those things. Now we're seeing when he had more joie de vivre and he was more of a
and
charismatic.
He was in love. I don't feel like we don't know what ends up happening with that.
That's
but he
true.
clearly was in love with somebody.
That's true.
She'll be back in season 4. I think she's going to play an important part.
I thought they were only doing season 3.
They can't. The way it ends.
I told you I was going to screw something.
No.
No.
There isn't
You
only
screwed
season 3,
up.
Becky. But remember, season 1 and 2 were one season split in half. This is essentially one season split in half.
God, I need more. I was like, I can't just have 8 episodes.
We weren't
Now we
sure.
have to wait another year. It's torture.
No,
I've seen one season,
they're already
one
filming
heist.
it. They're already filming it.
Oh, they're already.
Or
filming?
they filmed it already. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I don't know when it's coming, but it it's not like Game of Thrones. We're not going to wait 3 years.
I also just quickly, I feel like there's the first and second, part 1 and part 2, if you will, are not perfect. There's episodes that lag. There's stuff that's slow. They're by no means perfect. And you're thinking, okay, these are now going to be in the hands of somebody else. Netflix is in charge. They can have a chance to just speed it up, make it great, whatever they bring us, we love. Or they could just screw it up and we'll love it anyways because we love these characters. I'm genuinely impressed that I was on the edge of my seat.
Okay,
So
you know what
wait, hold on.
Hold on. I'm making a point on the tail of what Lily said, which is that in seasons 1 and 2, what's very important, but what slows it down, is the level of detail they give us of how every single item that they use ends up in the bank, and how, you know what I mean? Like the whole setup. What I like about this season is that I already know their masterminds. I don't need to know how they get a decompression tank in the bank. That's fine. Put it there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's a good point.
The less
yeah.
details of them hanging out doing heist things, the amount of exposition on the heist is too much for me already.
It's cute when they're all in class together.
I loved it. That was one of the things I loved about the show is how you see everything play back in. Like when he explains the plan Chernobyl, and then they have to enact the plan.
Right.
Chernobyl.
I just think
I
think
that was cool.
I love it too.
That was,
I just
Chernobyl.
feel
Getting
like
to see
they're
Chernobyl
doing
was awesome.
I just think they're doing it faster and
They
just
are doing it
punchier because we've already gone through.
We already know.
And the original episodes were longer and they were sliced up for the American market, right?
Yeah.
And these are now made for like the American length of shows, so they also.
But I think they're doing a really successful job of the flashbacks between 3 different time periods. Yeah. And I like how they're like weaving it in sort of like, I feel like last time you would find out about the plan and then you would wait like sometimes maybe even an entire episode to see them enact that plan. And this time it's sort of happening like simultaneously.
It's
I really like.
It's a snappier season.
Okay, wait. Who else has MVP?
So my MIP, my MIP is, I'm going to go deep. Angel. I think poor Angel, who got in that horrible accident, and he was pining after Raquel. I think that he's a far more capable cop this time.
Okay, well, I got to see what happens in these last 2 episodes.
I mean, he's not a main character, but he's a far more capable cop this time. That's number 1. Number 2, I think that I'm not sure if he's going to get turned at the end, but I think he's going to be the person who lets.
Don't spoil.
No, I'm just saying that I think that he will be critical to something between him and Raquel will be critical to them escaping.
I agree.
That relationship is not untied, like they're not going to leave that untied, and I think that there's resolution that he needs to seek that they're going to give us, and I really like seeing the character back and healthy and being a good cop.
Okay, Ilana.
I agree with Becky. Berlin, because he's just one of those characters that, like, I find they crafted him so well. He was so detestable that it makes him this amazing character that you actually end up like. I don't know if love is the right word, but like he's so bad and so evil that you really like him. That like I don't know, just and I thought it was like this breath of fresh air to see him back. Like when the first flashback happened, I was like, oh, they found a way to bring Berlin back, and I just love seeing him. To me, it's not a show without him. So
they've established that. You're totally right. I don't think they can do it without him because he really, and he's one. I don't know. I can't really tell because of the language, but to me, he's one of the stronger actors.
He is. He 100% is one of the better actors. And I was a bit nervous when I saw like this Palermo guy in the show, I was like, oh, they just got like a new Berlin. Come on, guys. And they didn't. Berlin is still with us. They just have like a more psycho, maybe loose cannon version, but it's not a replacement because Berlin is still there. My MIP, I guess it's a kind of a copy.
I like Palermo and what they've done with him, but it's interesting to me that part of his team needs an old friend who is borderline psychotic to be on the team.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, like, I mean, there's only so many trustworthy criminals, I guess.
And that I believe, if he's their old friend and he needs them
better than anyone,
right? He'll create the plan.
Now, Tatiana, she's going to come.
She's coming back. But my MIP was going to be Helsinki, but the more I thought about it, it's the like head of the investigation, not the negotiator.
Tamayo. I love it.
Right. And he's most improved because he was Prieto, who has some sort of dental issue, and he was the worst.
Prieto, you mean Spanish Frank Langella?
Yes, exactly, Prieto. And so he's the worst.
A dental issue is going to keep him out of the
like a crown.
He also seems to be having a nervous breakdown.
Well, he failed at this once. They brought in a bigger guy.
And they keep like patting him on the shoulder and putting like a blanket around him. And so he needs to go home and take a pill. And I love the guy that they replaced him with. So he's definitely improved. Because I don't know if it translates well into the English subtitles, but because you guys are watching it in Spanish, right, with English subtitles?
Of course. The only way
to watch it. The shtick that
also,
he says...
everybody on this podcast understands a little bit of Spanish, so it's
right.
Not like...
I just triple checking. But the shtick that he has and the things that he says when he's getting, like, hot and bothered and, like, super frustrated are so funny. He's just hilarious.
They've upgraded the villains really well. Sometimes I find when you have a show... a series and you have a great villain in season 1 or season 2 and then they have to bring in a new villain for the next season and they're just never able to capture the villainy again. They did an amazing job this time. Like,
I think it is really good.
I think about a show like Justified. I don't know if you guys watched Justified all to the end, but Justified season 2 and season 3 villains were amazing and they never they had good villains but they never got it back again, so the stakes never felt as high, whereas I'm really scared of Alicia and Tamayo because of his political savviness is concerning. All right, Becky. Becky, do you want final words before we switch to spoilers?
This is our most respectful spoiler episode we've ever done for anyone who's listening. Now we're like doing a clear... All right, now you're going to move into well, I guess just my spoilers. But I'm going to, like, finish it today, so at least I'll...
Becky, before you leave, there's one scene that I kind of take issue with in the show, is I hated when they have the dude's bodyguards, when they capture them, and they're sending, like, video footage back to the cops. I hate that they make them sing that Bella Ciao song. I feel like they totally cheapened that moment. It was, like, this beautiful... super powerful moment from the first season with Berlin and the professor singing it together, and then they used it again and I really didn't like it.
Oh, that's a really good point. They're kind of like degrading something that was very meaningful in an earlier season. And maybe they thought they were paying homage, but it's really degrading the memory.
No, I think Bella Ciao it's their anthem, and it's like the revolutionaries making the captors sing their anthem. So it's like they're humiliating them. I think it's possible people knew that song was the theme song of the Money Heisters by then, and so that's why I would buy it, because I think it's something that hostage takers would do. That being said, I take your point that moment is so powerful, you don't want to, like, every time something happens, everybody sings Bella Ciao.
Right, because they used it twice, actually, in this season.
They did use it twice.
Yeah, but it's their victory cry, for sure.
All right, you guys. Good luck.
Listeners, stick around for spoilers.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Becky's off. All right, spoilers. Nairobi dies, or seemingly dies.
No, say it isn't so. She can't die.
Did she die?
Shai's like, did she? And I'm like, yes, she did. Come on, guys.
I also wondered, maybe there's a chance. Come on.
What if Raquel doesn't die?
Yeah, what if they get the bullet out, Ilana? Ilana is married to a medical professional who has performed many surgeries.
You ask your doctor husband Is he a doctor? You said medical professional.
Yes, he's a doctor.
I don't know if he could be a
says
nurse.
don't take out the bullet.
Okay. First of all, he says don't take out the bullet. Second of all, it seems like even whatever, the bullet seems to be a moot point. She is in bad shape. And I'm pretty sure she dies on screen and we see it. So I don't know why she wouldn't be dead.
So
I love that
Helsinki
Helsinki stays with her.
I think that Raquel is dead.
But I knew she wasn't dead. I knew they were going to fake. You knew, right?
I think they could have. No, I thought she was dead. I thought they did a double death, and I was like, oh,
no,
wow.
I knew that I did not realize that Suarez. I was like, Suarez is too dumb to have thought about it on his own. So I'm like, how are they tricking the professor? Because there's no way that Suarez kills her. But then it made perfect sense that Alicia's in his ear being like, mess with him. He can hear her. Pretend. And I was like, okay, now if they just had Suarez come up with that on his own, I would have been like, that's so dumb. So I'm glad it was backed up with like a way smarter investigator.
That was very cool.
And I feel like, and I think it's awesome that she gets caught. Like, I mean, I'm obviously rooting for them, but it makes the story so much more interesting.
That Justino really fucked her.
And yeah, those guys were terrible.
But it's also, they would have been too much, right? They got the good luck with the campesinos that helped them,
right?
With the RV, and
Well,
but also like,
on them.
Well, I mean, they weren't gonna like go to jail for it. They already got their money. But the thing is that, for how smart the professor is, they were able to find the signal. Spain is not that big. It's basically like being like, they're in Southern California and just drive around and look for an RV. Like, it's not that big a space, and they're going back and forth in an RV. I feel like they could have evaded the police a little bit better, the two of them.
But they needed to be by the beach, right?
Because
I don't know. I thought the beach
so they could swim with their clothes on.
Right. Other than that, I don't see why they need to be by the beach. Is there a thing in the show? I love how they have like safe houses and ambulances and fake cars switches and stuff, but none of that seemed to help. Their plan of climbing trees was awesome, except she can't climb trees. So unfortunate.
Her crampons malfunctioned.
That was amazing. Them hiding in the trees was incredible. I think ultimately Nairobi's dead for a couple of reasons. One,
well, you called it, Shai. You texted me. You're like, what's the point of her story? And I was like, wait for it. They just kill her. Don't worry.
Well, so one of the signs a character is going to die when you watch enough TV is that their story is seemingly finished, where the only thing that could fix their story would be some sort of incredible act of God, that a deus ex machina, if you will. And in Nairobi's case, especially once her son was discovered, there's no way out for her at that point, because her son's always going to be really important, but also, as they said in the show, she's the heart of the team. And now that we bring in Ilana's theory about how she is the true good leader manager.
Ilana's right. It's not a theory. That's
Ilana's explanation that she is that's why Alicia went to Nairobi, right, and took her out. So that makes sense.
No,
the other part
Alicia
of that,
took her out because she figured out something about her.
She found her weakness.
I think
nobody else
has
a weakness.
As much as the show could be considered a guilty pleasure, I think it is now good enough that they would not do a double fake out. They can't fake out the death of two characters in the same scene. So one of them is going to have to die.
I was like, I give them credit because she, it's like killing a Sansa Stark. Which they would never do.
Character.
They killed a beloved, important character in the show that you would not. At this point, I put my money on when the season started. I was like, none of the main characters are going to die.
I thought so too.
They're not going to kill them, and they did. And I'm like, damn.
And
you gotta respect the show.
To me, that also makes me think that I don't know if they're going to do a fifth season, but I'm not sure after a fourth season. I don't really want to. I will say this: I'm sad. I can watch a conclusion of this story without Nairobi alive.
But then we're done.
But I'm not watching a new heist without her.
We got to put it to bed at that point. You can't make the same show over that many times.
Well, and that is my big complaint about this season is that it is so much a replica of the other one. they did so much of the same stuff that if they did another episode, they would have to strip out some of the characters and have a totally new type of heist. But our dear, so there's a dear friend of ours who is a listener of the podcast but also a co-host of mine on the Gold Nerds podcast. Her name is Ilana Lans, not Ilana, which is you with an A.
And I get called Lans.
Oh, you do? Okay, there you go.
It's the Canadian version of Lans.
Oh, okay, there you go. Lans. So there you go. So Lans, who is the American version of Lans, when I tweeted about what the heck, why are they even doing this bank robbery, she made a really important point in general about TV, is that like one of the rules of shows is that if you have a particular way of solving things, then you go and you rob the bank again. Becky raised that earlier too. I went to see Hobbs and Shaw, the Fast and the Furious movie, and it reminded me that those rules do hold true, because those guys find a way to like race some cars and speed them around, even if it has nothing to do with whatever's going on. So I am now, what bothered me at first, I'm now okay with. All right, who is going to die next? Not necessarily who's going to not survive, but who dies next?
I mean, I don't know, but my money might be on the professor.
Really?
You see, I don't know if he'll die, but I did write in the notes that Shai was like, and who's, gonna have to do an operation on somebody else the next time? And I wrote, I don't know, but the professor is going to get his hands dirty. Shit is about to get real for him.
Because that was Palermo's criticism of him.
His criticism of him, and he's about to get in it now.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it means he dies.
The ultimate sacrifice for his equipo.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, or he kills for Raquel.
Or he kills for Raquel. I could see either one happening.
Now, he hasn't had... Now, again, the ethics of this are all strange to me. The police officers who are sent in to raid the place, they are not part of the government conspiracy. They're probably not even making a lot of money to do this. And he has his team shoot a bazooka at them and burn them all alive at one point.
Yeah, that was a little questionable.
Now, what I loved, though, in the show was that they actually recognized that, because it was Alicia getting them to attack first for the first time.
Right.
And so at least they recognized that there. But they killed a whole bunch of police in the previous season. Nobody seemed to be concerned about that.
Forget that.
Okay, so I think...
They're not good people. Like, that's a good reminder.
But you love them anyway.
You love them anyway because it's our fantasy to be part of this team, and this it's so ridiculous and fun. But yeah, at the heart of it, they're not. It would be unrealistic if they made it through these 3 seasons without killing anybody. They're not good people.
So I think the next to die is... I'm going to go with... I've been bouncing this around in my head. There's one of those...
Do not say Denver.
No. There's that random guy on the team with the earrings? He was one of the people they pulled out of the crowd. No, not Bogota. He's like Marseille. No, not Marseille. Like, he's just like a young guy. He's got earrings and spiky hair.
He's the one that pretends to be a hostage, but he's helping with
I think he's the next one to die.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're gonna off someone else, but it's gonna be someone we don't care about.
Somebody insignificant.
Yeah. What about you, Ilana?
I said the professor.
Oh, the professor. Lily, who do you think's gonna die?
I don't know if anybody else is gonna bite it this season. Next season.
Okay.
I mean, if it was Rio, I wouldn't care.
If it was Rio,
Rio
was my other choice.
I was at a restaurant though, like the next day after finishing it, and I shit you not, there was a guy sitting, like a young dude sitting at a table behind us, and I was like, oh my god, look, it's Rio. And I got like all flustered. It could have been like his cousin or something. So I'm like, I guess I do really like Rio in the end. I'm now officially going to watch Elite. I kept saying that I was going to watch it.
You never watched it?
I never got a chance to finish it. I watched like 3 or 4 episodes, and because I watched it with Jose at first, and then he kept being like, no, wait for me, and then I wouldn't end up. And now I'm just gonna watch it without him. Like I need to just finish it. I didn't
get a chance to watch Elite. Okay, now let's go ships, relationships, always very important to us. Let's talk about ship prediction. I'm going to put the 3 couples out there. What are your predictions for what's going to happen to them?
Well, maybe Rio and Tokyo will finally be together now that he's less thirsty.
I want them to be done. I'm done with that storyline. You know, he finally took a stand, said, "You're not a good person. I'm done with you." Let him stick with that.
Denver made a good point, though. He's like, you couldn't have fucking thought of doing this like 2 days from now.
Well, yeah, that is. But once you have the balls to do it, let him stick with it.
Oh yeah,
sure. No,
that was great. Are you kidding? The guy'd been tortured, and if his one conclusion is that this woman is bad for him, God bless him. Good for him.
I agree. But I have to say, in terms of relationships, there's a couple of things that I didn't buy. The first is I didn't buy that Helsinki is in love with Palermo. Does he want to maybe boom boom chow with him? Okay, but he's not in love with him. I didn't buy that.
That was a bit much.
That was a bit much. And was Nairobi in love with Helsinki, or they were like best friends, and she would have like lived with him?
They say she was.
Have kids with him and have a family with him and live with him
I think
forever.
she said like hypothetically she would, because she loves him so much. But I think she's known like who he is and about him from the beginning, and I don't think she is the type to like fall in love with a guy she can't get. I think they make it seem like she was in love with him, but that she knows that she. I feel like they're like BFFs.
Yeah.
And was it Shai or who was it that said that maybe like Oslo and Helsinki could have been partners
were
and
they?
not?
I don't remember. I don't. Oh, maybe they were brothers. Okay, I don't remember Oslo.
I thought they were brothers, and Shai was like, well, or were they lovers? And I was like, I don't know. I don't remember.
I think brothers makes more sense, because I think now that we see how sensitive Helsinki is, I think he would have been more broken up by that. I mean, I don't remember exactly when he dies, but I think they just like bury him and they move on.
Yeah.
What about Monica and Denver? Do you think they stick together and they survive?
Yeah, I think a big test, and it was great when the fact that Arturito runs back in, that's one of the best scenes of the show, is when he comes back in to the bank, the reserve or whatever. I mean,
it was insane, but I expected it.
It was so funny.
And I like that they keep him in the show. Like and the fact that he becomes this speaker and he's so self-righteous, that was a great way to start the show also.
It was fantastic. Exactly.
It was a nice twist.
Of the where are they now type thing. But I'm just saying that proves that Monica is like Denver all the way. Just like, get away from me.
That's a good point. And her son is Cincinnati.
Hilarious.
They were like, I wonder how they picked that. 2 Spaniards, Lily? Like, how would they?
Because they were like Cynthia. I think they wanted to find a way to justify naming him the name of a city, because they obviously were going to name him a city, and then Cynthia led to Cincinnati.
Okay, got it. All right, now the professor and Lisbon, a.k.a. Raquel, will they continue
I think they're done. I think they're done. I don't know. I don't see how they can be together.
If he doesn't bite the dust, they'll stay together.
I agree. Okay. I think they stay together. I don't think this show is going to break all 3 of those couples up. But and I think Rio and Tokyo are done. Okay, now let's say Ilana, your husband is a surgeon, correct?
Correct. He just walked in, so we can consult it.
And the show...
Is he a doctor or surgeon?
He is an eye surgeon, Lily. So I wanted to ask about Palermo...
Eyeball surgeon.
Technically he doesn't actually operate on the eyeball itself, but the areas around the eye, so like the bones, the tear ducts, the eyelids, that kind of stuff. But he knows about eyeball surgery.
So is he trained in eyeball surgery?
No, he's an ophthalmologist. He trained in eyeball surgery, then he specialized in the areas around the eye.
I'm not sure he can consult on this, because we're talking exclusive eyeball here, Shai.
So
you gotta find a different eyeball surgeon.
In the show, Nairobi is the most experienced surgeon, so I would love a surgeon's opinion on, or a wife of a surgeon's opinion on the amount of surgery that's performed by these guys, and B, specifically the eye surgery with Palermo. That is like terrifying to me when they pull the glass out of his eye and one of his eyes sort of working and the other one has an eye patch and he's got like Denver walking him around.
Yeah, none of the medical stuff on the show makes any sense whatsoever. What about when like the director of the bank like smashes his head and he's about to go into cardiac arrest, and she just keeps injecting him with more epinephrine, and then he wakes up and he's fine? That guy would have severe brain damage.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's terrifying.
I mean, and also he seems to just be like clapping in the background, but he just had like 10 heart attacks.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. Hey, Jace, what do you think about the eye surgery they did on Palermo? from an actual medical doctor.
He says it's 100% realistic. Shai, I just heard him. The show is very realistic.
It's reasonable to pull glass particles out of the surface of somebody's eye, and that would make them a lot more comfortable. I can't remember the exact details. There might have been some fishy stuff there, but it sucks.
But the person would be needed to be heavily sedated to survive that. Because I've had a piece of dust in my eye and can't handle it.
A good eye drop that numbs the surface could do it. But
okay, so they had a lot of stuff in that medical bag, so it's possible.
He's saying it's realistic.
They're prepared for all eventualities.
Could a non-surgeon pull the glass out, or would you have to know what you were doing?
There's a lot of danger to it, but they could.
Okay.
Especially if they had any kind of magnifying glass or slight assistance with it.
She had a tweezer and a magnifying glass.
Yeah, it is possible. It's not crazy. And if in that situation, that might be necessary to try.
Yeah, guys should see the kind of shit that goes down in this house.
Oh, my goodness. One of the most scariest parts is when they show how his vision is damaged. Will his vision be damaged permanently, or is there stuff that could happen, especially for a guy with a lot of gold, that would either help him heal or surgery or something?
That depends on why his vision is damaged. If it's there are a lot of reversible.
In his eyes. Did you not see the show?
I did. But just glass in the surface wouldn't do terrible. There are a lot of reversible ways where his vision could come back. If he had some bleeding in the eye, that can clear. If his cornea got cloudy because there was glass in it, that could clear. Yeah. So there's
a shot.
Okay, this is important. Now,
chances are good.
Now, what about Nairobi? Is she dead? I know that's not eye surgery. That's like artery, heart, trauma surgery. But I'm sure you did some ER stuff.
I don't think my training equips me to answer that question.
Also, because she dies, so I don't know why. I think Jason could agree that if she died on the show, then she's probably dead.
You can hear my legal medicine talking, though,
Hey, he actually did an ER rotation at the Montreal General, so.
Okay. All right.
That's why he knows nothing about emergency medicine.
It looked like she's dead. I hope not, but it looked like she's dead.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I think could we have asked for a better way to end our guest spot from
Money
Ilana?
Heist? We just basically need someone that works at the reserve to talk about, is it realistic that room fills with all that water? Is that a real thing? Next on Friday Night Movie, we need to find out.
Must be based on something.
That's pretty cool,
but
though.
The whole risk of it was very confusing to me. I'm like, what? Because there's a movie, The Score, with Robert De Niro and Edward Norton and Marlon Brando right before he died, and the whole premise of that is they pump water into a safe in order to blow it up, and everyone's fine with that. It's a smaller safe, but
yeah. And what about when they blow a hole in the wall and the guy's like in the chamber too, like just hiding behind some gold bricks? Like, I didn't buy that either.
Okay.
Science questionable.
All right, before we head out, shout-outs and or recommendations. Ilana, as our guest, you can go first.
Let me think and consult my list because I thought about this ahead of time.
You're already more prepared than Becky for this show.
I haven't finished Stranger Things, and I haven't listened to your episodes because I didn't want spoilers, but that's what I'm currently watching. I really enjoyed Yesterday, the movie.
I really want to see that. That's great.
Just like, I'm kind of a lifelong Beatles fan, and it was, again, back to nostalgic piece, but it was like...
I'm a sucker for that director, too. I love his movies.
Yeah. I'd like to give a shout out to cousin Vanessa, just because I feel like I should.
That's amazing.
You're in the verse. You're in the Friday Night Movie verse.
I've never met cousin Vanessa, but
she's great. She's very tall.
And then I'll also shout out to my 90210 watching posse from last night, Shoshana, Jen, Jill, and Naomi, who were with me through the thick and the thin of the 90210, and we debriefed weekly about it. So it was nice to do that again. And shout out to you guys. This was awesome. I think I heard about this podcast on our very first trip to Williamsburg before it was even it was just an idea when you hadn't started it yet. So it's a very big honor for me to be here with you guys, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for being here.
Thank
and
you
for-
so much.
For getting a medical consult for our podcast. That's huge. It's our first.
I mean, you gotta understand
fact
when
checker,
someone in our
your-
family knows a doctor, we abuse that
resident
privilege.
medical-
Definitely, like, watch out for those texts.
Let's be clear, Lily. Let's be clear though. Surprise! You want a surprise ending, Lily? Do you know who the person in our family who has bothered Jason most for medical advice? Allie. She's always getting stuff in her contacts, and we'll text him and be like, "I got something stuck in my contacts. What do I do?"
Hilarious.
Lily, what about you, Rex? I feel like we're gonna have similar Rex.
I don't think so.
The boys.
Oh, I mean, sure. I was gonna let you wreck that because I feel like you started before me. But I just watched that first episode last night, and that is it's fantastic. I love it. I actually woke up this morning. It's rare that I woke up this morning thinking about it because the ending of that first episode got me. I was impressed that I was a bit shocked, and it's dark, so I feel like it's fun to see some superhero stuff that's actually quite serious and dark and reflects society in scary ways.
It's not dark for the sake of being dark. I think it is a really interesting societal comment.
I say it dark in the sense that it's funny and has some like cute moments and uppity, and it's about like adorable superheroes in modern times. And then there's some aspects of it that are very, killing and murder and stuff like that. And then you're like, oh wait, okay, it's like an adult show that's, serious. So in that sense, it's dark, but it's not over the top. But I definitely have to keep recommending. In general,
Did you say Fleabag again? I'm like, I can't handle another Fleabag recommendation.
No. I meant because I've recommended the season 1, but I'm in the middle of season 2 of Killing Eve. I don't know if other people are into season 2 as much as I am. It has an artistic feel to it, so it's not a straightforward cop killer assassin show. There is a level of blurring lines and a sexuality to it that's offbeat, but I think it's fantastic. I'm hooked. Love that show. So enjoying season 2.
Awesome. All right. Well, and where can people follow you, Lil?
They can follow me on Twitter, which it's 2 weeks running. I've been tweeting.
You've been tweeting up a storm.
Okay. Chi, C-H-I-C-H-I-K, as in Corman or Kellogg's. Gomez, as in Gomez Adams. Just Twitter. Chi K Gomez.
Ilana, do you want people to follow you?
I just have to change my fucking handle or something easier.
I love your handle. Please don't change it.
It's amazing.
Awesome. You can follow me, although you won't find much. I am on Instagram at iostentatious.
But you're not on Twitter, right? Because I tried
to tweet at you. I can't handle another platform.
Lily just tweets at you, even though you're not there.
I checked 3 times that it wasn't you, so I did not end up including you in that tweet.
All right, and you can follow me at pancake and the number 4 table, pancake 4 table, on Twitter and Instagram. And you can follow all the Friday Night Movie shenanigans at Fry Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram. The theme song is by What Does It Eat, and it's going to kick in, and we dance, and we say goodbye. Bye!
Bye, thank you.
That was awesome.
Right.
And I can call you when I make dinner later if you want.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
I love you.
All right. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.